Hello and welcome to Pratik Chess Videos.
Hello chessmen, today we are going to see game between Anderssen and Dufresne. This game was named the Evergreen game. Well, not because of not because of a name, but its style. The game is seriously evergreen. So let's start the amazing game. So the game started with e4. Well, the most popular, active, and romantic first move. E5, just as good as white's first move. Now knight f3, developing with tempo and attacking e5. Developing and defending e5. Bishop to c4. Developing a bishop to a central diagonal and attacking f7, the weakest square defended only by the king. Bishop c5, also developing the bishop to a great diagonal. b4, interesting move. The Evans Gambit, all the rage in 1852. The move sacrifices a pawn to expand the center, c3 plus d4, with a gain of time and to gain active lines and diagonals for the white pieces. Bishop into b4. While facing a gambit, you should probably accept it usually, otherwise, you are forced back without gaining material. c3 attacking the b4 bishop and intending d4. Bishop to a5, retreating and staying pointed at the king on e1, d4, building at least temporarily the perfect pawn center e4 and d4, e into d4, eliminating white's perfect pawn center. Now short castle. Playing d6 here, keeping the e5 strong point is considered better today. But in that time, e into d4 was all the fashion. So now just short castle and castling and also unpinning the c pawn so as to capture on d4. Next move. And then d3. Mistake. This gives back the pawn to prevent white from capturing it on d4, but it has the same downside as d into c3. It loses time that could be used to develop an castle. D into c3 is a dubious move. This move was played in a game between Fischer and Fine, famous game. Capturing more pawns without developing is too greedy. Queen b3. It was played in that game. Queen e7. Knight into c3, knight f6, knight d5, knight into d5, and then e into d5. The e file is now open to black's king. That's allowed Fischer to win swiftly. After d3, queen to b3, developing the queen and attacking f7. Developing queen f6, developing a queen and defending f7. e5, expanding in the middle and gaining time by threatening the black queen. Queen g6, retreating the black queen and defending d3. Knight into e5 was a mistake because of rook e1. And then after queen to g6, rook to e1. Dubious move. The rook is developed but the e file is blocked by a pawn. Rook d1 made more sense. Now knight g e7. Here we are developing and getting ready to castle. Bishop to a3. The bishop is placed on a nice diagonal attacking b7. b5 mistake. Black sacrifices a pawn to open the v file for his rook and b7 for his bishop, but this makes little sense. Neither should become active enough to justify it. Short castle should have been played, and black is fine after this move. But just b5 was played mistake, and then queen into b5, capturing the free pawn. That's what you do. Now rook to b8, attacking the queen and seizing the open, but not very valuable. b5, queen a4, stepping back and keeping a5 under attack. Bishop to b6, saving the bishop and responding to the threat of capture on e7 when the knight on c6 cannot capture back and defend a5. Okay, so if short castle blunder, the knight on c6 is overworked, so bishop into e7, knight into e7, queen into a5. We win. But in the game, queen a4, bishop b6, and then knight bd2, developing the final minor piece. Bishop to b7, mistake. The bishop is placed on a great diagonal. However, castling was much more important. Short castle. This was the last good chance. But no, bishop to e7, mistake was played, and then knight to e4, good move. The knight advances to a great square and blocks the black queen so as to play bishop into b3 next turn. Queen f5. Blunder. This move is totally pointless. I mean, what's the point of this move? Seriously, why is the queen better on f5 than g6? Black should now be crushed. Short castle, if played, then bishop into d3. Threatens knight f6 check, which should win the black queen. But nope, queen to f5, and then bishop into d3, grabbing the pawn and pointing it at the black queen with a threat of knight f6 check. Now queen h5. Now queen h5. The queen must now retreat from the threat of discovered checks, which win the lady. So after queen to h5, knight f6 check. Well, wait, knight f6 check. Now, knight f6 check is a bit too eager, dubious move. But the idea to sacrifice a piece to open the e file makes great sense. The problem is that white allows the g file pointing to his king to be opened, and there isn't a forced win for him. So, knight g3 was better, but no, knight f6 check, g into f6. Now e into f6, recapturing. So g into f6 had to be played because the queen is also under attack. So declining the knight is not possible. And then rook to g8, grabbing the open file. Black did a sensible move for the first time. Well, so this is a good move. Grabbing the open g5 for the first time in this game, White's king feels pressure too. And now rook a to d1, a brilliant move which anticipates it's and the coming sacrifices on e7 and d7. I love that black saw and took the chance to include his final piece in the attack. White saw and took the chance to include the final piece in his attack. Leave no piece behind. F into e7 is a blunder. Queen into f3 and the g pawn is pinned. So that is gonna result in white's doom, not black. So that's why rook a d1. Brilliant move. Now queen into f3. This is a mistake. Now, well, after queen into f3, queen h3 should have been played. Queen h3 should have been played. This is a complete computer defense, and then after some very high tension, so bishop f1 and then queen to f5 should be played. Good move, and this move not capturing the knight on f3 because of rook into e7 check intends to capture on f6 and saves the game for black. Incredible. But no, queen into f3 and then rook into e7 check. Now you shall not subside. Brilliant. Anderssen has seen the coming. I'll not tell. It will become spoiled. Knight into e7 and ladies and gentlemen, pause the video and think. Um. Well, before you pause the video and think, king to d8 is met. King to d8 is actually the best move. Then rook into d7 check, good move. And after king to c8, then comes rook to d8 check, brilliant move. Now that is just brilliant. King into d8, bishop f5 check, queen into d1 check, and then queen into d1. So now after rook into e7, knight into e7 was played, capturing the rook and probably not seeing the next move. What's it? Queen into d7 check. Amazing, brilliant move. Brilliant. White queen sacrifice drags black's king into a double check that forces checkmate. King into d7, asking to be shown the checkmate. Now bishop f5 check, the correct double check. Now bishop b5 check is a blunder which lets black's king go away after king e6, bishop d7 check, king into f6. So, well, after bishop f5 check, king to e8, trying to hide in the center. King c6 is met by bishop to d7, beautiful mate. So, king e8. Now, bishop d7 check, pushing the king into a fatal square. King f8, running to d8 would do the same. Bishop into e7 check, mate, or f into e7 mate. So king to f8 and then bishop into e7 mate. A beautiful finish to a fantastic game. This game is well named and is sure to be always seem fresh and inspiring to chess audiences. Just an amazing game. So the lessons. Game summary is that the game is flawed, but the flaws are always interesting and instructive as black excessively delays castling and both players fight for the initiative. White's knight f6 check looks natural, but it gives black unnecessary chances to attack the white king. And Dufresne could even have saved the game in the end, but only with miraculous defense. Lessons: don't delay castle. Material can be traded for activity, center control, and more. You may need to sacrifice to expose a king in the middle. So these are the three lessons from the game. Well, this was the game. I hope you liked this video. Don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell icon. Thank you.